For the candidates, the state income tax, the state sales tax has increased from 3% in 1965 to 6% now. As governor, what would your role be in either increasing or decreasing the state sales tax?
Candidate Raul Labrador, I think the first response is yours.
Well, did you mean the sales tax or the income tax? Okay, so what my plan, like I said earlier, is 5-5-5. I want to reduce the corporate tax to 5%, the individual income tax to 5%, and the sales tax to 5%. I want to get rid of all the loopholes that are in the tax code. I was a business owner. I owned my own business for 10 years. At one point, it wasn't a huge business. I had 8 employees, and I had to pay for the taxes. I had to pay for their insurance. I had to pay for their benefits. I know what it's like to be a small business owner and to decide every single day whether you're going to pay yourself first or whether you're going to pay somebody else first. I think it's important that the money be in your pocket, not in the pocket of the government. We don't know how to invest. We don't know how to spend money. We want you, as citizens of Idaho, to invest the money and to spend the money. I think we need the smallest hand of government possible, and we can do that by making sure that we lower taxes and we lower regulations.
Mr. Little?
Sales tax is obviously, when they talk about loopholes, when the sales tax was passed at 3%, there was a broad class of taxes, of taxpayers that didn't pay. It was supposed to be a retail sales tax where it was only taxed one time. A lot of the loopholes that are talked about are definition of what that original intent was. Because remember in 1965 when we did that, we took off the inventory tax and we lowered the other taxes. Right now in the state of Idaho, there are a lot of sales tax exemptions. It's going to be much easier to stop the hemorrhaging and stop the exemptions than it is to repeal all of them. Because a lot of decisions have been made by businesses predicated on these are the rules that are out there. What government shouldn't do is move the rules back and forth so that people make their decisions, whether it's a car dealer, whether it's a small retailer. We are going to make progress in sales tax. This year, we're going to reach out and grab some of those taxes that have been being avoided in Idaho. But you have to lower the cost of government, but you still have to pay for our fundamental services. Primarily, the number one is public schools. I believe that if we stop the hemorrhaging and stop new exemptions and continue to grow the government, then we'll have room to bring those property tax or those sales taxes down.
Mr. Alquist.
So just last Saturday, I can't believe it's only a week ago, I was with Leo and Becky that own a welding shop over in Rexburg, and he grabbed me before I left at the end of the night and said, please, please, please don't forget me. And please don't forget that the government has one source of revenue, and that is us. It is about taxes, and we need to get them down in this state to be competitive. But remember, there's one source of revenue, and it's us, and the way they spend our money needs a fresh look. There are agencies in this state that have not had a fresh look at how they spend your tax dollars for years. It is time to look at those budgets. Every single Monday in the real world, we have an executive team meeting where we come together, and it's not only what revenue comes in, but it's how does that revenue go out. And we have to take a fresh look at how we spend those dollars so that we can reduce the tax burden on our good people. That's what drives an economy. That's what will make us have wages go up in this state. But we got to remember those small business owners and the people that are paying the taxes instead of just the history of spending these taxes. We have a spending problem in Idaho. We'll fix it.
Mr. Labrador, 30 seconds.
So one of the exemptions that we have in the tax code is that we're inviting companies to come to Idaho and we're giving them tax money. When we give them that tax money, where's that tax money coming from? That's coming from you, from our pockets. That's bringing a new company to Idaho, and we decide to give them extra money. Many of those companies are actually competing with our existing businesses. I want to get rid of that. I don't think the governor or the legislature should decide who the winners and the losers are in the tax system. I believe that everyone should be treated the same. I believe when a governor's office and a legislature treats everybody the same, the economy will grow, the economy will thrive, and everyone will feel better about their government. Right now we have businesses leaving the state because they're not able to receive exemptions in the state, so they're going to other states because they can receive exemptions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Little.
Well, something's working, or Idaho wouldn't be the fastest growing state. Idaho wouldn't be a state with the most increase of incomes of any of the other states. You continually have to look at government spending and tax policy always rejuvenating. You have to adapt to what happens at the federal level. You have to be competitive with what's taking place in the surrounding states. The program that exists in Idaho doesn't give them your tax dollars. It negates some of what they would have paid. You do that to be competitive in the state of Idaho. That is part of what we do. That's part of the recipe for our incredible growth in personal incomes, is the fact that we are competitive, but we don't give them your money. We let them keep a little more of their own as incentive. But the only way they get that is if they raise the level of wages in their community.
Thank you very much.
Not if they pay the standard, if they raise wages.
Mr. Alquist.
Let's be very clear on actual data and what's going on. We are the fastest growing, but it's because we've gone from 44th to 41st. There is a long ways for us to go in this state. 1/3 of Idaho lives in poverty or paycheck to paycheck. We have a wage problem. That wage problem will start with a foundation of education that is actually modernized, and it will depend on tax policy and a strategy from the executive branch of government that actually is a multi-year strategy to get us where we want to go for our families in this state. It is time now to take a look at all of that, because it's simply not good. The status quo, again, it may be good enough for government. It is not good enough for our people.